All right, welcome back. We're rolling this week. Busy week. Lots of coaches, lots of different people on. Um, we're excited to talk to Coach Jawan Lewis today from Alabama State, running back coach and recruiting coordinator there. Also, as Coach D had mentioned to me, I think a couple of days ago, listed as a top 30 fastest rising coaches in the industry.
30 under 30, baby.
Yeah, 30 under 30. So he's one of
Must
those
be
young
nice.
guys.
Must be nice.
Are you? What would you be, a 40 under 40?
I
Yeah.
30 keep it. Hey, 35 to 40 rate. Is there like something we could market it that way, like right in the middle type of like I don't know.
I'm the 50 land. I don't think they even do that for people like that anymore. They're
At
just
that
like,
point, those guys are
you're
retired.
just old and you're working your
those guys
way
are
out.
done. Like those guys.
No, coach came before he got to Alabama State. I think he's recently there. He was at Davenport, and he did a great job there. He really, really is rising up fast through the ranks. And so we're super excited to talk to him about a bunch of different things. And I've actually seen Alabama State Stadium years ago. I was in, I believe it's in Montgomery, and or outside Montgomery. And I was there because the guy who was in charge of all the sports stuff was trying to bring an event we had there. He had a son that actually played there, and so they got that really big stadium there. I want to say it's like 17 or 20,000. It's a big stadium, like brand new, and yeah, really nice. So let's bring Coach on and talk some more. Coach, welcome to the podcast. Great to have you on.
I appreciate you guys having me on, man. Fired up. I appreciate the intro.
We do our best with our intros, Coach.
Not too many people get the opportunity to be amongst a lot of great coaches in a barrage and variety of ways. So I thank the University of Mount Union for giving me my start. Hiram College for teaching me some things, as well as the University of Findlay. Got a lot of love for Coach Corey Allen, Rob Keys that brought me in. Coach Sparky McHugh and him and I just talked yesterday. We talk a lot. He did a lot of great things. I had a lot of, I consider Davenport family, just as much as Alabama State. I'm with them. And, here we are, Coach Eddie Robinson going into his third year. Year 2, he brought me in. We had some turnover here. But I would say, Coach Chris Barnett, Coach Jonathan Carr, Coach Christopher Brown, Coach William Glover Amp, Assad, my assistant in my room, John Paisley, all of them are doing a great job. And I trust them, and I can't wait to go to war with them this year. Coach Robinson's done a great job universally, both offensively and defensively, as far as, it's a big thing about, and, when I become a head coach down the road, you got to hire great assistants. And
that's it.
We've done, he's done a tremendous job, and I'm not tooting my own horn. He even has, head coaches on the staff, being Terry Sims. I call him a legend. He hates when I call him that, but it's just the respect. We've had some past D coordinators like Coach Middleton on the defense, helping out with Coach Ryan Lewis, and he's done an excellent job along with our liaison, James Williams, Billy Gresham. Ronnie Scott just got here in the spring, and he's taken over by storm. Derek Brown's our quality control. All these guys have done a great job, but, that's enough for the defense. I'm going to highlight the offense no matter what. Those are my guys right there, so.
Yeah, and Alabama State's obviously Swac conference school, correct?
Yes. Yep.
And it's a place, like I said, I've actually been to the stadium. I've seen some of the things that they're really trying to do, and this was several years back. This is before Coach Robinson got in there. But it's, first of all, that community over there is a great community. So there's a lot of things. I always thought that's one of the places that really was kind of like a sleeping giant, within the SWAC, and really could. And they've had a lot of great seasons, but to be able to be like a perennial power, I think that's a place that like has the ability to really do that, and I think that's what's exciting about it there. Talk a little bit about kind of, so you started to touch on your career, like yourself as a player, you're a really accomplished player, and then your kind of foray into coaching and how you got to Alabama State.
Yeah, so as far as playing, I did play both as an undergrad at Eastern Michigan, and as a graduate player at Ferris State University. Got the opportunity also on the side note to play as one of the greatest fraternities known to man, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, by the way of Phi Zeta chapter. But yeah, played at Eastern Michigan for 4 years. So I came under Ron English and then made the transition to Coach Chris Creighton. And then I was under Coach Tony Anise at Ferris State. From there, I did, participate in the pro day. Obviously, my 40 wasn't fast enough.
Happens to the best of us, bro.
My 40 wasn't fast enough on that day. But then the crazy thing is I go out a month later and had a workout with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers that run a 4.50. So I wish they were just there. I wish the NFL was there on that day. But
sometimes those chips, bro, they fall the right way for you because, you look at what you're doing now. Had that been different, you wouldn't have had the opportunity that you have now. So
no doubt. So from there, for the longest, I said I'm not playing arena. I'm at least try to get to the CFL, and obviously the CFL. No knock against them. I got some great friends there.
Totally
doing some great things. Coach Hogan, Coach Vintel with Saskatchewan, but I got to a playing date with Saskatchewan. They let me, they cut me. It's a mini camp within the state, so they cut me. And I got to a point, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna I can keep doing these workouts, or I can actually go play football and get some film. So from there, I was a mid-year signed with the Duke City Gladiators out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. They were in the CIF at the time when I signed with them. Fell in love with it. As much as I knocked it, it actually made me a complete player. As much as I knocked it, because you got to be able to move in the phone booth.
Yeah, you do.
You got to be able to move in the phone booth. So got there mid-season. Everything went well. We ended up going 13-2 that year, and we ended up winning the first national championship in franchise history of the ball club. So it was great. That was the furthest I ever been away from home. Crazy place like Albuquerque, New Mexico. I had so much fun, learned a lot.
Wow.
So I'm going into my first off season as a professional athlete. I made a little money, bought myself a Benz, and I'm feeling myself. My little brother, Kari Wilcox, who I'll always commend to get me in the profession. He says, "All right, man, you're in the off season now. What are you going to do?" So I'm about to finish up my master's degree, train, and get ready to do it all over again. He said, "You ever thought about coaching?" I said, "Have you ever thought about coaching?" I'm not coaching, man. I just got done playing. He said, "Man, just do me a favor. You'll still be able to train. You'll still be able to do everything you want to do, but just, give coaching, a try, this off season." And it took, multiple conversations. So I ended up having a conversation with Coach Vince Karras, who allowed me the opportunity to come in and be an assistant running back coach. And obviously Mount Union's staff is huge for D3.
Yeah, they're a little different.
So he brought me in. I ultimately, man, I fell in love with coaching. I fell in love with it. I did go back and play one more year, but I knew that I was going to end up retiring and start to coach. So obviously we went to play in the national championship. We lost to Mary Hardin Baylor in 2018. Went on to play another year of arena, and then ended up coming to Hiram College. A lot of obstacles that happened with Hiram because, and it's not their fault. It wasn't our fault at the time. The program is still, picking back up from where it was back in the day. And I think they're doing a great job up to this date still. But I knew when I started coaching, even at Hiram, I said, okay, I'm taking the next step. I know I love coaching the backs. That's my baby, as Sparky says. And I've been able to speak all over thanks to the AFCA, thanks to the Minority Coaches Coalition, and many other outlets like our Coaches Network, where I met a lot of my football family. I knew I wanted to be an offensive coordinator in the immediate future. And now I have Coach Barnett, where I get to pick his brain, and he's allowing me to do a lot of different things, as far as practices go and stuff like that. And Coach Robinson, like I said, he trusted me. So you're the head coach of the running backs. I know what you can do. So I knew back in 19 at Hiram College, I knew that I wanted to be offensive coordinator because I was a co-run game coordinator and co-pass game coordinator. So Moving up, I had to take it. I wanted to take that chance. I didn't want to get labeled, at a certain level. So I wanted to continue to rise. And Coach Allen, called me during the COVID, on the back end of COVID, and gave me the opportunity to come in. Him and Coach Rob Keys gave me the opportunity to come in to become the running back coach there. Having my own room still. We did a lot of great things. Had a freshman that was the co-freshman running back of the year in the GMAC, two to three additional first team all conference guys. It was a short stint because after that, Coach Sparky McEwen, most people don't know, Sparky was the receiver coach when I was at Ferris. So he texted me randomly. He said, what do you got going? What are you doing? And next thing you know, I'm there for 2 years as the running back coach and high school recruiting coordinator. Fell in love with it. We made history. I had a running back that broke a rushing yard per carry record. We set a unit record against California or Lincoln University in Cali, where we had 7 touchdowns from, I think, 3 or 4 different running backs within that one game. Had some first team, second team, all conference guys. And then, just from doing guest coaching at different clinics and camps, satellite camps throughout the years, is what helped me meet a lot of my family in the football realm. And ultimately, Harry Williams, who, did a great job while he's at Alabama State. He's now the OC back at his alma mater. So I wish him the best of luck and everything. Gave me the call with Coach Robinson and Coach Sims to ultimately bring me here. I knew a decent amount of people on the staff, or they knew of me, like Coach Gresham. Man, him and I didn't meet in person until, I want to say, 23, and I just wrote him a letter, because we were fraternity brothers. And I wrote him a letter, and he kind of kept up with me. I kept up with him. And here I am in Alabama State. The crazy thing is my sister actually graduated here in 2011. And then my family, my dad's side of the family, was another, pivotal reason why I began coaching. And he's a longtime high school coach for Muskegon High School. My dad's side of the family lives in Atlanta, Georgia currently. So here we are, man, going into year 7 this year.
All works out.
Yes,
yeah, and that's awesome. And Coach Robinson's really beginning to take the program to the next level. I think you guys were 7-4 last year. The year before 6-5. Rose up from a team that was in the middle of the road, like having maybe sometimes more of a lose. Now you're really building. You have that stadium. You have a lot of upgrade facilities. Montgomery's a fantastic community. Haven't spent a little bit of time down there. I know. I know this is a good guy for you to go and meet. The guy who's in charge of tourism and like bringing people in for conventions. Ron Simmons is the CEO there. Great guy. You would love him. Yeah. And it's a good guy to know. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
Montgomery. So it's his son played at Alabama State too. So he was an offensive lineman there. And it's really, really a great community. So talk about when before we get to like running back play, because I really do want to pick your brain on that. But you're really getting heavily involved on the recruiting side. Your recruiting coordinator, you're really starting to step that up. Talk about the type of players that you guys are looking for, the type of prospects, and how you kind of go about your process at Alabama State.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me, excuse the background noise. I had a couple
Don't worry about it.
guys coming in and out, but
You're okay, man.
The biggest thing for us is we are still, at the end of the day, we're a foundational program. When I say foundation, your high school players are foundation. Your high school players are foundation. We did an amazing job, even with the turnover. We did an amazing job as a staff, bringing in, some high quality players. We're looking for guys. I know you have some programs that will take the minimum, with GPAs and stuff. Even when we're looking at our guys, we're setting the foundation or a plan. Even if a kid is in a recovery, credit recovery plan, we're getting with the counselors to see what can we do as they're rising, or what can we do in the midst of their senior year to help them out. But the foundation is the high school kids, so we're not portal crazy. If there's a situation where we do need a plug and play guy, in certain positions, you're going to have to do that. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But for every plug and play guy, you're still getting a foundational guy because, we're looking more of the grad transfer, stuff like that.
Yep.
We may take a couple kids who are, true mid-year undergrad guys, but we're always getting a plug and play guy that needs to be ready to be a more than ready backup, or a guy that's going to be ready to go if anything happens at the end of the day. But we also look into the JUCOs as well. We're looking for those qualifiers coming out that may have gone under the radar. It is what it is. But if they could prove themselves for that year and come in and be a plug and play guy as well, then that's great. We look at things like that. But the foundation is key. We had about seven 3-star guys. We don't really get into the labels like that.
Yeah.
Who's giving those stars, but we had a lot of kids, in our region, our southern region. But we have, we're a melting pot on our roster. We did a really good job. Like, we're playing in the Orange Blossom Classic coming up here against North Carolina Central. We have a high presence of guys who are from Florida, from all over the place. I had a high school mid-year enrollee, which we had 4 guys that are high school mid-year enrollees.
Crazy.
Yeah. And I had the pleasure of bringing one into my room that I'm looking forward to seeing him flourish. Even if he uses my office closet as his extra storage space.
Hey man, whatever it takes, Coach. Whatever it takes to keep him in the room.
He's a great kid. But I got a lot of guys, both in state and out of state, in this room that I'm really looking forward to doing some great things. But recruiting wise, we did a great job, and we got a couple guys late that are really going to be some pivotal pieces for us.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that's really cool. I mean, if you look at like what social media has done from a recruiting standpoint, that gives places like Alabama State now an opportunity to recruit nationally, especially throughout this, because you could reach and touch anybody. So if they're interested in being a part of that program, where in the past probably most of it came from Alabama or Louisiana, and maybe touched Mississippi, maybe touched Georgia a little bit, but now you have that opportunity to reach out to players from Florida and realize, hey, it's really not that far, right? And it's within your region and other places around, especially the southeast and southwest. But you can touch anywhere, right? So I think that's one of the cool things about it. And I think Alabama State is in one of those states in Alabama where there's so many great football players. Like, people don't realize the pocket of, because you always hear people talk about Georgia and Florida and Texas, right? But people don't realize the number of scholarship athletes that come out of state Alabama, and then obviously
it's right there.
Yeah, and the neighboring states like Louisiana, you could probably argue for their population size might have the most Division I athletes, and obviously Mississippi has a ton of athletes as well. So it's really, really interesting, kind of where you guys are and the opportunity to really get a lot of prospects. Talk about, like, as far as, so you talked about like how high school was so really important, and what I'm seeing with a lot of FCS schools in general, right? That's still kind of the foundation part of recruiting. How does, and I don't know if Alabama State does it differently or than the rest of the Swac, or how it kind of works. Does the Swac utilize all 63 full scholarships, or is it okay? And when you guys do recruiting, are you number one, 63 scholarships? Those guys are the guys that come in, and then the other guys would be walk-ins. Is that how you guys do the scholarship standpoint, or do you kind of a mix depending on what they are?
Yeah, it's a heavy mix depending on where, and obviously tuition takes a big chunk of that as well. So, in-state versus out-of-state,
right.
Obviously every university has their own different nuances, but I would say for the entire conference, you have your fulls, you have your partials, you have your different promises that are in-state, Birmingham promises, and even when I was in Michigan, coaching. A lot of the state schools or public schools had what you call the Motor City Promise or the Kalamazoo Promise, where guys, the school pays for the tuition and you're paying for X, Y, and Z. So there's many different ways where you get guys to things like stuff like that. obviously FBS is like, if you're a fool, you're a fool. If you're a walk on, you're a walk on.
Right.
FCS, the Division I FCS, has different ways where you can kind of maneuver around it, where families are happy, and the program is still happy, where you're not exceeding your resources, as I'll say.
Right.
So it's a great thing. And I tell you what, even as recruiting, high school, I say on top of that, between high school and mid-year, our strength staff does a great job too, because they're finding guys as well. They've all been different places. So Coach Kerry Thompson's been a million places. Coach Portis has been a million different places. That's my workout partner. He's actually sent me a couple guys as well. Coach Irv, who's doing the Bill Wall strength conditioning portion, he's with the Titans right now. So
that's awesome.
Everyone is, has really contributed to the program to where we are, along with having, just a great universal staff and administration, and with the strength staff, helping out as well. They're able to really mold who we're bringing in from a strength conditioning perspective, knowing exactly what these guys need to be successful in the field, from a preventative perspective, from a conditioning perspective, from a strength perspective. So universally, man, everybody is chipping in, man. So we do a great job here.
And that's what you need to be successful, is you need to have everybody aligned. You need to have everybody, all going in the same direction, whether it be strength staff, other coaches. Like, we're all about, compete in offense, defense. But at the end of the day, like, we're all one team. And, for anybody watching that really doesn't understand college football on that level, the strength staff spends way more time with players than individual coaches, right? Like, that's like, that bond between those two is just on a different level, so everybody has to be aligned, ready to go in the same direction in order to be successful.
So I'll take it even a step further. Our President Ross, Dr. Cable, our AD, and our assistant AD, Cyrus Russ, they even do an amazing job, just for the fact that they believe in our vision. And this last class that we brought in, they were more than thankful. Always us bringing in good, great, high character student athletes. So I can't let this this interview go without me saying thank you to President Ross, who was a Michigander, and two of our Swac's very own, Dr. Cable and Assistant AD Ross. As well as our compliance department as well, is doing a great job, and academically our academic department too. So they make our job, they make the vision happen at the end of the day.
Right. Because if you don't have that from the top, like, you're not getting anything done. I don't care, how good of a coach you are. I don't care what players you bring in. If those guys that are literally calling the shots, up top, if they're not in line with what you got, with what the vision of the program is, you're swimming upstream, and that current just keeps getting harder and harder, right? I mean,
no doubt.
Definitely.
And you have a big name coach, right? Obviously.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, Eddie Robinson Jr. As far as name goes, I'm sure that helps you walk into any door. Obviously, he's son of arguably one of the top 3 or 4 coaches of all time in college football, Eddie Robinson Sr. So it's an amazing thing that you guys have going on, and obviously he has his own identity too, so which is really cool. Like, he takes all the things that he's learned, and he has his own identity, and he brings his own identity to the program as well. So, which I think is really good.
And he ain't afraid to show a little something different.
No, he's
right?
not.
I like that. The fire. I love it.
He is Swac. So one thing.
He is Swac.
He is Swac. So one thing, because a lot of people get it mixed up. Eddie Robinson, our head coach, Eddie Robinson Jr., he is in no relation to the great Eddie Robinson. However,
interesting. I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Yeah, a lot of people get it mixed up.
They do.
Yeah, but he's.
I never realized that. I didn't never realize that.
Two people that he highlights a lot on why he got into coaching.
Yeah.
That is Houston Markham Jr., who was one of his longtime coaches, um, and Coach Eddie Robinson.
Yeah,
He's a pivotal piece amongst a lot of other people who have contributed to
of course.
college football. But no, it's okay because everybody mixes it up.
But I will
Maybe.
tell you though, like, and you kind of
And he
look at it
played
too,
in the
though, like
NFL
just
as
the
well,
name,
Eddie
right?
Robinson Jr., right? Didn't he? That's what I
Yes.
thought. Yeah.
So even people up top there have gotten it like, oh man, my bad. Everybody's made that mistake, and he just
Right.
laughed it off.
I never
But
realized that.
but even going forward, right? Like even like with that being said or whatever, like you talk about him, like one of his mentors, right? One of the reasons he got into this whole thing was Eddie Robinson Sr., right? And like
Yes.
when we talk SWAC, like there's no way you can even have a conversation without talking about Eddie Robinson Sr. and what
Correct.
he did for the entire, the conference and everything of that nature. It all just goes hand in hand, no matter what. But
Right.
like your head coach obviously made headlines for going back and forth with Dion and whatnot. But like at the end of the day, like I love the fact that like I don't care who's on that sideline. Like you're not gonna disrespect my program. You're not
Correct.
gonna just come in here, no matter who you are, how much money you have, what you've done. Yeah, you're not gonna make a mockery of what like I have lived my entire life.
And
I
Bill.
love that.
And Bill. Yeah.
Yeah,
No
like
doubt.
look, I've been here, I've been doing this. Like, you're not just gonna come in and all of a sudden like you're SWAC because you're in this conference. Like that's not gonna happen. And look,
Correct.
mutual respect on both ends. You know how it works. I just love that. If I'm a player for that guy, I'm
Oh,
going through a wall right
yep.
now for you, coach. You know what I'm saying?
No
And I'm gonna
doubt.
tell all my other guys like, hey, you need to come here because look what like my head coach, he's willing to do this to this person, and like it is like let's go.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I just think like that's the guy you want leading your program, even in terms of administrators and things like that. Like some administrators probably would have frowned on something like that, like, oh, that's not how we do. No way, man. Like I want a guy that's going to defend my program and fight for it
No
that way.
doubt. So like I was with Davenport when that happened.
Right. So you saw it from afar,
I saw
right?
it from afar, and even when I was in the midst of doing I do a lot of research. Even when I was going into college,
Of course.
I figured out why the extension at Eastern Michigan was the way it was, and it was because of the founding year of the school. But doing my research, man, that fired me up, and
Yeah, it
we're
makes you
not
want to play for a guy like
we're
that no matter what. Like, I could look at a million intangibles of things and whatnot, but if that's the way my head coach is going to be, like, that's a guy I'm willing to sign up for and run and do whatever with. I'll figure out the other stuff, but, like, I want the guy that's making calling the shots to be that way.
and like we're in we don't have to go on different interviews, and
No,
we don't have to go on social media and disrespect any other SWAC
absolutely
school
not.
or any other institution at that. We're a classy school. We just play football. So
Actions speak louder than words a lot of time, and
exactly.
in this
This
day and age I don't think a lot of young guys follow that philosophy because everybody could talk. And I always tell, and coaches heard me say, look, everybody wants to smoke till there's smoke, right? And it's like,
exactly.
look, I can say all of these things and I can look pretty in all my videos and do all that, but like when we line up and get between the chalk and put a helmet on, like who are you now going to be? Because your words mean nothing when we can get out here and play.
At the end of the day, like make no mistake though, if you disrespect us, you're gonna feel us. If you're gonna
100%.
disrespect
Like we ain't just gonna be sitting over here doing whatever.
no,
Like we're
if
gonna
you're
come
gonna
and we're gonna give you a little something.
if you're gonna disrespect us, you're gonna feel us. We're gonna be we breed off of being intentional. So if you're gonna intentionally disrespect us, we're gonna intentionally come back at you. Just be ready
Expect
for that.
abs 100%. I love it.
And I think that's why I love the intensity of the program
Yes.
that he brings. Like you feel the intensity, and I think Derek and you said it too. You feel that intensity. You feel the love for the game from him. Like you
You
feel
feel the
like, hey,
passion for his
this is
players.
important to me. This isn't a show.
Yep.
This is what we do. Like I've dedicated my life to this program and any program that he could be a part of maybe in the future, but maybe he'll be there forever. Who knows? In college football can be crazy, but
It is.
uh, but he's dedicated his life to it, and to have someone play for somebody like that, that's to me, like as a parent, I'm a parent, like those are the kind of guys that I look for my kid to be a part of, right? Guys that will go through a wall for you, that stand by their guys. You know what I mean? And that's really, I think, honestly, what it comes right down to, it really has nothing to do with him. It has to
No.
do. I'm standing by my guys. These are my guys. You're not going to do something that takes my guys, my coaches, my administration. That's not going to happen. And I love that part of it.
Yeah, it
I
wasn't like a
not to
ploy
switch
for him.
gears, but I do want to talk to Coach before because he's got to get ready. I do want to talk to him a little bit about running back play because he is a running back guru. You know, we could do another podcast one day about all this kind of stuff too. But I do want to talk to you a little bit about running back play because that obviously you're doing a phenomenal job recruiting, but running back, like you said at the beginning, like those guys that like those are your guys. Those are the guys like you identify with what those guys do. You're trying to get the most out of them, and those are the guys that you work with directly on a regular basis. Talk about the running back position, especially how it's evolved, right? Like in the last 10 to 15 years, but talk about the running back position and the kind of guys that you want to have as your running backs. What that characteristic is, because running back's one of the few positions they could be tall, short, stocky, lean. Like everybody kind of has a different preference. What is it you look for in a running back?
I look for selfless guys. I look for selfless guys. I don't care. You can be the smallest. I got guys from all shapes and sizes. Some big, some small, some muscular, some not. But at the end of the day, these guys are selfless. That's why we're called the 334 stable. You know, I have different chapters. Every place I've gone, starting at the University of Findlay and on, we're either, the Findlay stable, we're the Davenport or 616 stable, we're the 334 stable here. And I know a lot of people use that stable term, but I thoroughly use it as a culture. My culture in my room resonates with my culture philosophy as a whole, which is relatability plus confidence equals trust. You know, I, at the end of the day, have to learn these guys both as student athletes, but as people. You know, their parents are entrusting me to develop them no matter what. From there, you got to build the confidence through drill play. You know, your drill play. When you build that confidence through drill play, you're showing why these drills are going to correlate on game day. Um, Within that, when it works within those different individual periods, team scenario periods on game day, um, having if we a great job at using this, or man, had you used this, if you bang, bend, bounce, and bury, or hey, have you gotten skinny through there, hot feeted through there, depending on the different scenarios and situations on the field, it builds that trust. They know I'm going to put them in the most successful situation possible, no matter what. But at the end of the day, no matter if you're the top of the depth chart, the bottom of the depth chart, you're going to be prepared like you're going to get 20 plus carries a game. I got to have guys that are ready to roll. And I trust every person. These guys have come from different backgrounds, different stories. If we had more time, the list goes on of what these guys can contribute to the game. But you got to have complete backs. So I'm looking for a complete back, a guy who's not
Definitely
afraid to
need that.
run in between the tackles, to trust their speed in open field, to be able to catch, but mainly be able to block. What do you do without the football? All right. What do you do without the football? You got to be able to enforce the finish without the ball. Okay. You got to be a guy that is on his P's and Q's in pass protection, no matter if it's full slide versus half slide, man side. All right. You got to be that guy to be able to ID and scan defenses. I build intelligence in the room. I build intelligence. I work off the IQ that you already had. Some guys come from scratch. Some guys know a lot of great things, and that's no knock to whatever program they came from. But at the end of the day, you're going to be a complete back because I'm the head coach of this room. Okay, I'm the head coach of this room. So I'm looking for guys who are just overall trusting within their ability and trusting me to build off what they have. All right. And I tell my guys, don't be anybody else but yourself. Okay.
That's it, man.
If you're a 5'11, 225-pound back, don't try to be Reggie Bush. You need to be Marshawn Lynch. You need to be Bo Jackson. You need to be Adrian Peterson. You need to be, the list goes on. All right. The same thing. I like when the smaller backs, my in space guys, my tweener guys are able to look at physical backs because some of these guys, though they're small, they're very burly.
Right.
Right. So I can trust them in between the tackles just as much as in space. And they trust their speed. All right. We have a little thing we enforce the finish. You got to enforce the finish in all phases. Doesn't matter. enforce the finish on runs, enforce the finish in pass pro, enforcing the finish on catches, then enforcing the finish and chasing the play. All right, chase the play. And we universally as an offense do a great job at that. So those are the guys that I have in my room, and we have a family culture. It's not, hey, I'm better than you, I'm this, I'm that. It's not, it's if he gets a first down, we all got a first down. If he messed up, that's okay. We're all going to correct it, no matter what. We have a selfless room, a very humbling room, man. And shoot, I love them for trusting me to make and teach life through the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you like to use, like, from at least from a tailback standpoint, do you like to use two backs in a game? Like, how do you kind of enjoy, rotating? Because the old days, right? I mean, before when I was young, like, you had the one back carry the ball. Now there's some teams that still do that, but most kind of have two guys, right? That are their main guys, and they make sure they it might be a 60-40, 70-30, but there's two guys that they rely on. What's kind of your philosophy with that, with the backs?
Well, the biggest thing for me is I preach and teach versatility so I can get more guys on the field. You're obviously going to travel more than two backs. So everybody has to be good at something, and you have to embrace your role. So these guys embrace their roles, whether my route runners, my in-space guys. When I get the two back, I can have a big, little, big, big, or little, little. That way, being multiple personnels and multiple formations allows me to be have my hand in multiple backs and still be able to get multiple carries with certain guys, putting the ball in the right hands of guys and keeping the guy. If a guy's hot, man, you hot, man. Hey, coach, he's hot. That's it. It is what it is. But you're not, back in the day, you had really burly backs like the Eddie Georges, where they sustain being that one back, or even Bo Jackson's, where you're sustaining, and even Walter Payton's, who I love.
Those shots that you're just taking on the regular.
But now, over time, man, as football evolves, you can't just grind one guy into the ground. You gotta be ready for having multiple situations or anything that happens, but you also got to be ready for the fourth quarter. You got to be ready for the fourth quarter. So you got to use multiple backs. As what I learned as a young coach coming up, and I'm still considered young. I'm only going into year 7. Some guys, I'm coaching with some guys who've been in it for 15 plus years. Great, and we all learn and teach off of each other. But versatility is key. And obviously, when you watch my drill tapes and how I develop guys, I'm showing an indie phase. I'm showing
you're showing it all. You're not hiding much, Coach. And I respect that as a high school coach myself and whatnot. Like, your openness to kind of let everybody know kind of what you do and how you do it. You know what I mean? I think that for us guys, like, I respect that more. And now, when I'm looking to send guys certain places, I'm going to say, hey, Coach Lewis at Alabama State, right? Like, you see what he does. So I want you to go that way.
So the biggest thing too that I show is, how is this drill used at the next level?
Right.
How is it used at the next level? And 2, I'm not going to be that coach that is going to hide my good stuff. No, absolutely not.
Why would you do that? I don't understand why guys do that anyway. Like, why would you?
At one point, I had to create my foundation. Like, this just didn't happen overnight, and I knew my manual, and I did this, and I learned from a lot of great coaches, man, and Alonzo Carter's, and he met me off one of my first clinics that I ever did with our coaches network, and he's like, man, you got some good stuff, and I learned stuff from people with different positions. I learned from many different running back coaches that I've come encounter with, and they learned stuff off of me, but I'm not going to hide my stuff, because there's somebody in this profession, no matter the obstacles. It might be that guy that's first starting out just like myself as a volunteer coach, made $1,000 under the table, just took what that administration was able to give me, and I'm going to give them the nuggets on how they can create their own style, their own teaching progressions, their own philosophy into creating a complete back. Even when I become a coordinator in the immediate future, I'm still going to coach the running backs. You're not going to let me give up my baby, but let me give you nuggets. Let me give you what I've learned. Let me give you what I did as a player. because there's not too many running back coaches in today's age that have played the position, let alone as coaching the position at a high level. And it doesn't matter what level you are. There's some great players at the D3, D2, D1 FCS, and FBS. Everybody's taking everybody. It's like the waiver wire nowadays. So
that's
Right.
what it is. It's open. It's free agency, man. It really is. It's guys are out there just pimping and grabbing and doing whatever, and it's like it's just what it is.
And when you're starting out at the D3 level, you're grinding. You're grinding, man. You're grinding. So I took an approach of being a sponge, and learning from other guys, and then putting my own spill on what I experienced and what my RBIs experienced playing at the FBS and FCS level myself. And I want to give those nuggets to the next person. Don't be afraid to hit me up. Don't be afraid to take my stuff. Take it. Take exactly how I coached it. If you got to put a little,
it's a sense of like I've always felt a certain sense of pride or whatever when guys steal my stuff. Like, even if they're doing it like whatever, like to me, that's humbling, right? Like, okay, my stuff was obviously good enough that you felt the need to go and take it. So I've always been an open book with it. I also am under the impression that like, hey man, if I'm that good, it shouldn't matter whether you know exactly what we're doing or what we're going or how we're training or doing all that other stuff. Like, try and do what we do, because I just know that for me as a coach, my moxie, my approach to things, like it's always going to be a little bit different. And then those guys will take that from me, and then you go put your own spin on it if you want to take my stuff. It's a set, you just feel a certain type of way when guys do that.
Football is all stolen anyway.
That's all it is. Everybody's taking stuff from everybody and then put their
other
own
than
spin
whoever
on it.
may have started football way back in 18 whatever. But it's all stolen and taken, and it's all and the word I like to use is it's an evolution of drills. Like, people are evolving drills, evolving schemes, evolving things. So you're taking principles from something you see that you like, and then you said it, Derek, put your spin on it, and that makes it more of your own, right? And I think that's why not take, especially in football, why not take something from something that has been successful, and you say, I can enhance this. And when you enhance it, and that's the great thing about you putting out your stuff, you're putting out, hey, this is how I do it. And then you might see what you do and say, you know what, I really like this, but I want to do this way.
Or you have to adapt it to the level that you're coaching, right?
Level
like
you're at,
coach, what you're doing at Alabama State, I'm not going to be able to do that on a regular basis with like my high school guys, right? So you got to kind of adapt it to your levels, but at the same time, hey, this is what we do. This is what those guys at that level are doing. You can be as successful doing that.
Exactly. And then like, I get the privilege of knowing guys like, Coach Gillespie at Alabama, where, we've taken stuff off each other, Coach Keenan Halls, Coach, Larry Warner's, these are guys that I would.
Your name dropping now, Coach. Your name dropping.
I have no problem with it, because there's things that they've taught me, and there's things that I've been able to give to them that they've asked questions and been intrigued about.
And that's awesome.
Those guys have ultimately done a great job. But two, me putting that stuff on social media, there's one thing to oversell yourself. And I know some older coaches that hire and fire, but there's some older coaches that are in positions that hire and fire, but they understand now that we're in the era of social media.
Absolutely.
This is what it is, man. Adapt or die.
If I'm bringing a running back in, I want them to know how I develop guys. And two, a lot of the stuff that I put on social media is the reason why I've been able to speak at the AFCA, our coaches network. This is the reason why I've been able to meet so many great coaches, and they become my friends and family. I've met a lot of people, some people I've coached with, and I told them strictly, because I'm a genuine person, like, man, we'll never not be friends. But I've met people along the way where we pick each other's brains and we become family. I send texts all the time to people both in the RB position, out of the RB position, head coaches, pro coaches, all that, and it's only out of love. But they met me through what I've put on social media, and I don't get to the point where it's like I'm posting, hey man, I just took 2 steps down the hall. Like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm posting nuggets so people can take from high school levels to college. Just it's quality over it's quality.
Yes,
quality
because
versus
you can post something every single day, but at the end of the day, like what are we really taking from it, and what is it really helping me with? I get it.
Absolutely.
It's a great approach, Coach.
Absolutely.
I think the biggest thing that you could take out of it too is, hey, number one, you're helping others get better, whether it's athletes or coaches. And then number two, listen, by showcasing what you do, you're helping your career as well. It's what you spoke, you said, because listen, they can see without ever having to meet you, they can actually
Right. It's your
see what
resume.
you
You're
do.
presenting
You're doing
part
a
of your resume.
presentation. You're
Yeah.
doing a presentation each day on
It's
what you
basically it's the
do.
same thing as if you were standing up there at a clinic doing a PowerPoint going through everything, right? Like, and now you're actually like coming out and like here's what it is. Also, like there's a certain way that like I would look at it, right, Dave, and like obviously you've been a head coach and whatnot. Like if you see a guy that's confident in his work to be presenting it out like that, right? Like that's a guy that I'm going to entertain and say, hey, this guy does it this way. I really like that.
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff that the coaches have picked brains. Those are some of the same drills that I've been able to even go talk at the coalition in Vegas and at the AFCA year after
Yep.
year. I've been able to speak probably 4 times in the last 3 years. Even my first AFCA, I got to do buzz sessions and stuff, but I've been able to speak 4 times in the last 3 years, and it's just because I love talking football. I'm passionate about this, man. You're in a sport that builds confidence, builds personalities, builds overall morale as a person just as much as a teammate. So any chance I get to have time to be able to speak it, demonstrate it, um, allow people to pick my brain on my why, absolutely, I'm going to do it.
Absolutely. And the positions to me, like the running back is number one on where you could develop them with drills, probably more than any other position. But I always think of running back, offensive line, defensive line, because the drills are you can architect drills that are very similar to the game situations for them, things that they're going to have to deal with in those three positions more than anywhere else, because wide receiver has to run down the field to have a DB cover him, in order to really get a full simulation. What is DB? Same thing. He's got to have to get a full simulation. A linebacker has to see all the pieces move. But a running back, an offensive lineman, defensive line, they can work within a vacuum and do all the work they need to do to simulate game situations, and they can work in the full breadth, right? The full teamwork or half teamwork, and be able to get the breadth of it. And I think that's one of the beauties of running back is that you literally, if they said to you, all right, you have 2 hours and you can go and do everything you need to do running backs, and you guys don't ever come over by us, you'd be able to find drills over and over again to simulate game things
100%.
to get it done if you just practice literally by yourself. And that, I think that's one of the unique things about the running back position that has to be awesome to coach from that standpoint.
We got people on our staff too are versatile. I'll give you an example. Um, Even when I first got here and started implementing my drill manual, which I think I'm up to almost 50 drills because I at least come up with 3 new ones out the blue each year, each offseason. Coach James Williams, who's our NFL liaison, associate head coach, and our DB coach, he played both. He played DB and he played running back, and he just loved the durability or the development of the guys over the course of the year, from when I got here up until even this past spring up to this point. And he does a great job with the DBs who talk junk to each other all the time. But um, he grew to love. Even our head coach grew to love a lot of the drills, especially with the ball security phase of things. How I teach ball security, but both of them grew to love it. They even, when I do a little extra, they sit out and just watch and pick my brain. Like, man, I really like that drill. Why? Blah 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 blah. So it's a lot of love, man. But don't, if I'm telling the next coach, even if you're, I don't like to use the word season because some older coaches will take that personally. Season leave, I say the vet coaches,
Man.
vet coaches, don't hide your stuff. Young coaches, be willing to get with older coaches. Don't be be a sponge. Don't be a guy who's just who's comfortable.
Who knows everything?
Who knows everything or is comfortable where he's at. Because there's always something you can learn. There's always something you can build off of.
It's a great message.
So, and I even said that at the AFCA. Get with older coaches, get with the AFCA, get with the coalition, get with this fine network here that I've been able to, finally be able to interview with two fine coaches themselves that know football. Get with our coaches network. There's so many different outlets where you can learn so much from so many different people. All right. It kind of correlates with my little saying that I learned along the way. There's river guys versus ocean guys. Like you gotta be a river guy. If you ever sit and watch the river flow, that stream, no matter how many rocks you skip, no matter how many times you kick the water, that stream is always going to stay current, is going to stay calm and collective. And you can't, you want to be a river guy. The ocean guy, he gets caught up with the highs and get caught up with the lows, meaning if I'm a coach, I can't, or even from a player's perspective, I get a little too high, I get a little too low. And as a coach, I can't bring you down from the highs or I can't bring you up from the lows. Are you a complete back? Can I trust you in every situation, even in all adversity? And that's not just football, that's life. So
No,
I preach being a river guy versus the ocean guy at the end of the day, man.
no doubt about it. And Coach Vernon Hargraves, who was my linebacker coach at college, he used to say, like, it's never as good as you think it is, and it's
That's
never
it.
as bad as you think it is. Stay even keel, because when you get in the film room and you think I just had the
I
worst
had a
game
great
ever.
day.
Oh yeah, or well, either way, you think you had a bad game. There are things you did really well. There are things we got to correct. When you had a really good game, there are still things that you didn't do well that we got to correct, and there are obviously things that you did do well. And I stay even keel so you can continue to learn. I think that's a great thing. Don't be a river guy. Don't be an ocean. That's really great. It's awesome.
I appreciate that a lot, man. Appreciate it.
Coach, I don't want to hold you up much longer. I really appreciate you coming on. I mean, you really represent. I might be frozen on your screen here, so you're just hearing my voice, and for some reason my thing just froze. But I really appreciate you coming on and really enjoy this podcast and talking with you. And listen, you ever want to come on again? You get some free time in the season. I don't know if you will, but you want to talk some more, we'd love to have you on. We really enjoyed you taking the opportunity and coming on here. And listen, you keep going at the pace you're going. You're gonna fulfill that dream of being a head coach one day. There's no doubt about it.
100%. Appreciate you taking the time, coach, especially, with camp coming up and right now, everything. So, it shows a lot about you that you're willing to take the time to talk to the two of us when meanwhile you got guys literally rolling in and out of your office because, it's report day. So it just shows who you are, coach. And we might have lost Coach Shu, but, I'll speak for both of us and say, like, look, we're really happy that you came on and whatnot. And we'll continue to grow this relationship and we'll link up, whether it be on a podcast or whether we'll meet up at the AFCA convention and sit down and talk some more.
Absolutely, man. I honestly honor and privileged to be able to represent the university, the football program of my family today. Um, Man, this would not be the last time that we hook up and link
Nah,
up.
man, we'll do this again. That's for sure.
That's no doubt, man. And I wish you guys the best of luck in continuing to, give these guys, every coach an outlet to continue to talk ball and just, really throw it out there and shoot. Again, I encourage these coaches, man, get with a lot of coaches, man. Build your family, build your guys up, man, and love one another, man. So I appreciate you guys.
All right, coach, man. We'll talk to you soon. Have fun. Good luck. Enjoy camp. Get crazy. You know what I mean? Like enjoy that day after day after day grind. But look, for guys like us, where this is the passion and this is the love, like this is great. Like guys aren't dreading going to camp. Like you're in love with this and like can't wait to like get in that room and you're the head coach of your guys. So we look forward to following you this season and we'll get together again soon when you got some free time.
Awesome. Thank you.
Have
Take
a
care,
great
coach.
season,
Thanks,
Coach.
buddy.
Have a great weekend too. All right, we'll see you soon.
Hornets won, go Hornets. Thank you.
That's it, baby.
You got it. Go Hornets. All right.
It's awesome.
Great.
Good stuff,
great
man.
talk.
He's
Great
passionate.
stuff.
You can see why
Great
he's
stuff.
a 30 under 30 guy.
No doubt about it. He's a leader, and
All
he's
in.
passionate about the game.
Loves it.
I love the running back stuff as a former running back. I love hearing.
And you heard him perk up when it was like, let's talk running back play, right?
Yeah,
Like,
There's no doubt about it.
you gotta love what you do, whether you love your, it's just, and he does. You can see. And look, if I'm a player, that's the guy you want to go to. You want
No
to be in
doubt.
a room like that, like a guy that just exudes that, and it just seeps out of him. Where every day he's juiced just to be there, no matter what it is.
Absolutely. Great shows. Great having Coach Lewis on. Great podcast. I will get on out of here for today. We'll be back tomorrow.